Now that the NBA Finals are finished and Nikola Jokic can now finally attend to his horses or whatever, it's now time to set our sights on next season. And oh boy, there's plenty of new exciting stuff that we're going to look forward to. Like the arrival of Wembanyama or how Bradley Beal will mesh with Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. I mean, it's fun times ahead for the NBA. Well, except if you're the gunslinging Ja Morant, of course. Now, aside from the blockbuster moves that several teams will be conducting this offseason, there are also going to be a lot of changes that are going to happen around the league in the upcoming season. Starting off with the addition of an in-season tournament. This was already in the pipeline several years back, and the NBA has finally decided to give it a go. We'll go into more detail on that in a moment. But first, we want to thank today's sponsor, Factor. Too busy with summer plans to cook, but want to make sure you're eating well? With Factor, skip the trip to the grocery store and skip the chopping, prepping, and cleaning up too, while still getting the flavor and nutritional quality you need. Factor's fresh, never-frozen meals are ready in just 2 minutes, so all you have to do is heat and enjoy. Then, get back outside and soak up the warm weather. Factor makes meeting your nutrition goals easier than ever by delivering fresh, never-frozen dietitian-approved meals right to your doorstep at around 550 calories or less, making your summer cut a whole lot simpler. The Protein Plus meals also comes in clutch when you're trying to make some gains with their Protein Plus pack, containing more than 30 grams of protein per serving. Factor has been great for me reaching my fitness, athletic, and dietary goals for a fraction of the price. Cutting down on my time cooking has also been great for clearing up time to make more videos like the one you're watching now. To get in on this amazing deal, head to Factor75.com or click the link below in the description and use code SWISHCENTRAL50 to get 50% off your first Factor box. Make sure you check out Factor, and a big thank you for sponsoring today's video. Taking a page from European soccer where they play for multiple cups throughout the season, he said, "We think taking nothing away from the Larry O'Brien Trophy and the ultimate goal of winning a championship, that you can create another competition within the season that becomes meaningful. And there's a recognition that new traditions are not built overnight." As per Adam Silver, the NBA's version of the in-season tournament will be similar to the ones that current European soccer leagues are already running, and he believes that this will generate tremendous amounts of competition early on in the season right from the get-go. Here's how it works. Basically, the 30 teams will be split into 6 groups of 5, and each team plays against one another in the same group in a typical pool play style, with 2 away games and 2 games played at home. And then, the 6 teams that will top each group, plus the other 2 wildcard teams, will slug it out in an 8-team single-elimination pocket tournament in the next phase. And finally, the last 4 teams standing will play in a neutral ground, with Las Vegas pitched as the ideal location, somewhere between November to December, to determine the in-season tournament champion. Now, here's the most interesting part. The NBA will handsomely reward the final 4 teams for their efforts in participating in this tournament, and the prize money rankings are as follows. $50,000 will be given to each player of the team who got booted out in the quarterfinals, $100,000 to the third placers, $200,000 to the runner-up, and lastly, $500,000 will be handed out per player to the champion team. Anyways, the cash prize is definitely a great motivational tool for weaker teams to compete harder instead of just tanking. And in the end, this is not only going to be beneficial to the players, but also to the fans as well. Because now, there's going to be a strong reason for us to follow and watch the NBA early in the season, since we're going to be seeing quality and competitive games on a nightly basis, not just during the play-in tournament and playoffs. In addition, Silver said that the players will wear different uniforms and the court design will also be different as well. So again, this adds more entertainment value, and in return, lots of people will surely be drawn to watch these games. Now, if their experiment turns out to be a success, the NBA will have another product to sell, which can generate another revenue source for them. I mean, in the last couple of seasons, we've seen how the play-in tournament has become must-see television because of the thrilling games we've seen there the last couple of seasons. The bottom line here is that the NBA wants its audience to tune in, not just during the play-in tournament or the playoffs, but throughout the whole season. Now, there's no assurance that this will boost their viewership rating in the first half of the season, but I'm pretty sure that more people will watch the NBA around November to December than before, with this new stuff they're about to cook. Anyways, aside from this, there are also big changes coming off the court, particularly in the new collective bargaining agreement that the NBA and its players signed and agreed on last April. While there were many revisions made in its provisions, the new CBA features a new set of draconian rules that will heavily punish teams that love to spend a boatload of money in creating their dream roster. In case you haven't heard, the new CBA has installed a new financial provision called a second tax apron, which will amount closely to $179.5 million for next season. And if a certain high-paying team will breach this threshold, then that team will be met with a ton of restrictions in terms of doing trades and player movement under the new CBA, which I'll discuss further in a bit. Now, to illustrate this in detail, let's use the Suns' current roster situation as the perfect example. See, with the Bradley Beal trade now in place, the Suns' new Big Three projected salary for next season will be just a tick below $130 million, which is just $3 to $4 million under next season's salary cap. Basically, the salary of those three guys has already covered their entire payroll for next season, and take note that this doesn't include the salary of DeAndre Ayton. Now, speaking of which, adding Ayton's salary will add another $32 million to their payroll, which will amount to nearly $160 million next season. Now, the remaining player under contract for the Suns, aside from Booker, is Cameron Payne, with $6.5 million, and when you sum it all up, the Suns have already surpassed the luxury tax level of $169 million, with just these five guys on their current roster. With this being said, the Suns will only have around $9 million of financial elbow room to squeeze in 5 to 6 players to fill out their entire roster. With the way the recent CBA is designed, it's going to be hard for the Suns to acquire a bunch of players with that kind of amount, and the only thing that the Suns can do here is trade away DeAndre Ayton in exchange for more affordable pieces. Or the Suns can invite old players who want to win a chip and force them to accept a veteran minimum contract. Now, this is the best case scenario for them. However, at the end of the day, we all know that this is just a working theory. Anyways, with the limited options they have right now, it's pretty likely that the Suns will exceed the second tax apron. And with that being said, here are the harsh consequences that they'll be facing. First off, they won't have access to the taxpayer mid-level exception. Now, this can be used once per year for those teams who are already operating in the luxury tax. Perfect examples of these were when the Dubs used their mid-level exception to sign Dante DiVincenzo last year. Same case for Joe Ingles when he got signed by the Bucks, and John Wall when he was signed by the Clippers. Now, the next one is that teams that will hit the second tax apron won't be allowed to trade away their first-round picks for 7 years. And if they're still above the apron for the next 5 years, then that pick will automatically drop to the bottom of the draft and, in effect, lose its value in the process. Aside from this, they won't be allowed to sign free agents on the buyout market. They'll not be allowed to add cash-in trades, so on and so forth. Anyways, let's move on here. One of the major problems that the NBA has been facing over the years was the rise of load management. In the last couple of seasons, Adam Silver was trying to find the right balance between preserving the health of their players while still keeping the games watchable despite the marquee names always sitting out. Next season, though, the players will have something to think about regarding load management because under the new CBA, players that will appear below 65 games will not be eligible to earn postseason awards such as Rookie of the Year, MVP, All-NBA, and all other major awards. Now, what if the player got really injured and had to sit out for a couple of games, or worse, have to sit out for the rest of the season? Is he still eligible to win an award? According to the CBA, a player who suffers a season-ending injury can qualify for postseason awards as long as he played 62 games. For me, this encourages players to take care of themselves throughout the regular season. And I believe this will curtail the ongoing load management trend that has been circulating for quite some time now. Now, since we brought up this topic, I suddenly remember how big of a deal this is going to be for Ja Morant. I mean, since he's already suspended for 25 games, he'll be automatically disqualified from the MVP race, being nominated for All-NBA, and since the rule also requires players to appear in 58 games in order to qualify as the league's scoring leader, Ja will miss out on that one as well. This new rule will definitely be useful to those players that are competing neck and neck in the MVP race, and voters will have no choice but to factor in the number of games before locking in their final decision. Anyways, what do you guys think about this new set of rules? Are these changes for better or worse? Let me know your thoughts on this by putting your comments below.